Welcome back, everyone, to the topic of the week. And the topic of the week is avoiding pain, but we're also going to speak about a lot of different issues. We're going to be speaking about addiction, self-worth, not feeling good enough, overthinking, anxiety, and so on. I'm just going to throw it all in there in the space of 10 minutes, and I hope to keep all of your attention in that time. So make some time to listen up because I have a lot of things to say. So, why do we avoid pain? First of all, what is the purpose of your mind? Your mind is there to keep you alive. And by doing this, it's also trying to get you away from pain and straight to pleasure. And what's the easiest way to do this? It's by consuming drugs, by consuming alcohol. And sometimes I give these examples of, yes, just take another line of cocaine and we're avoiding the pain. But not all of you identify with this, right? But you do if I said you're avoiding pain by going down to the pub and distracting yourself with your mates and drinking one pint after another and so on, by smoking that weed, by downing that bottle of wine. And it always seems so innocent. It's like, yeah, but it's just a glass of wine at lunch, or maybe two. And then for dinner, I'll have maybe another one or two or three, and then it turns into a bottle. If you calculate it, it's a bottle of wine a day, and it always seems so innocent. And then we think, yeah, it's just because I like weed, or I like wine, or I like the taste of beer. If you really like the taste of beer, you could also drink non-alcoholic beer. So we're in denial. We are lying to ourselves because we don't want to admit that we need help. And it's also scary to have therapy. It's scary to this is what we think, right? I don't want to feel into the pain because if I'm doing therapy, if I'm going to a psychologist, I have to talk about the pain and it's horrible. I want to avoid that. I don't want to deal with it. I'm going to escape. How can I escape? Get myself that big tub of Haagen-Dazs and just shovel it down. And a lot of us have already had so many imprints of when we were children. An imprint is something along the lines of, let's say we have a memory of a little girl, she's 6 years old, she's in class, and she gets an answer wrong, and her teacher ridicules her, shames her, embarrasses her. And everyone laughs. The teacher laughs, the other students laugh. This little girl feels in that moment complete humiliation, shame. She doesn't feel good enough, smart enough. She doesn't feel like she's worth being fought for, that anyone's going to stick up for her. She feels small and so on. All of these emotions, that's an imprint. Your brain just remembers that emotion, that feeling. There's a wound there. That is painful. As life progresses, we have so many scenarios. Our parents have a huge impact on us, our friends, our family, everyone around us, especially in school. And this is why I give a discount to teachers, because I find they can't afford a ridiculous amount of money for therapy because they don't get paid a lot, which first of all, I find very, very unfair, especially because these are people who are spending 8 hours with our children. They need to be balanced and peaceful so we don't have these horrific imprints. So I'm going off on a tangent and I'm going to bring it straight back to why we avoid pain. These are all scenarios. These are all things that have happened in childhood. So let's go back. Let's fast forward to adulthood. Let's give an example of a breakup, because I feel like coronavirus, the pandemic, the war, everything, living in close quarters with someone has pushed a lot of people to end relationships, and it's very, very painful for the person who is doing the dumping and the other person who is being dumped. They feel rejected. They don't feel good enough. They don't feel worth being fought for. They feel all of these horrible, horrible feelings. So of course, a breakup is so painful. It really is. But it's even more painful, and it just continues on, and you struggle to get over, and you take all of that drama and all of that crap into the next relationship because we haven't healed what came up in childhood. And that is why RTT or any kind of hypnotherapy is incredibly effective. We're going to go back. We're going to find out what your issue may be. It may be anxiety, it may be fear, it may be rejection, it may be whatever. Addiction is a big one, sugar addiction. And we're going to go back to scenes, we're going to go back to memories, and we're going to find out why this addiction came up into your life, why you respond this way. And most likely you're going to go back to your younger years, and that's where it all starts. And that's why when someone breaks up with us, we feel this injustice, we feel this unworthiness, this not enoughness, and we want to do everything we possibly can to avoid that. And that's why a lot of us aren't able to be present. And I mention this a lot in most of my videos. It is vital that we become aware of the here and now. And that's why a lot of addicts or a lot of people that want to avoid pain, they're very all over the place. They're very fidgety, they're not very settled, they're quite nervous, they overthink a lot. I did speak about this topic last week, and I feel that overthinking, a lot of us overthink, but we're not actually overthinking about this pain. We're thinking about everything else, but we don't think about that one thing that's actually causing us the most amount of pain. Some of us do, which then causes us anxiety. So either way, it is not good to have this constant flow of thoughts, because we're never allowing ourselves to just be. And I really struggled with that. For years, I avoided pain. I have had 15 years of avoiding pain. And I want to tell you something: you need to stop avoiding pain, because it will bring you more pain and it will be even worse. You have one life on this planet, and we keep pushing it further and further. Oh, I'll do it next year. Oh yeah, I might talk to someone in a year or two. I'm sure it will pass. Sometimes it does pass. Sometimes the pain does pass. But most of the time it doesn't. It lingers and you feed on it. I have clients, or potential clients as I like to call them, who speak to me and ask me about RTT and so on, and they tell me, I need to deal with this sugar addiction, or I need to deal with my alcoholism, or how much I'm using on a daily basis. And then they say, actually, you know what, I'm gonna leave it for a while. I'm sure it will resolve itself. But then they always come back. 3 months down the line, your tolerance level has built up, and you're going to use more, you're going to drink more, you're going to consume more, and all of this is causing you more pain. And for what? For what price? For you to avoid the pain of the past where you're not even living in anymore? For you to avoid the pain that you experienced when you were 5 years old, which was horrific? But you can deal with it. You can deal with it, because I will be there guiding you every single step of the way. Take the chance to liberate yourself. And yes, it takes time. I'm not saying you have one session and every issue is completely removed. That would be completely bonkers if I said that. Yes, of course, I have clients that come to me with several different issues, and after that, those issues are gone. But I'm not saying they're healed forever from everything, in their life. I'm sure that other things creep in, because life isn't always easy. Sometimes shit happens, and it does, but we need to be able to learn to deal with it. We need to be able to cope with it and not be so affected by what anybody else thinks. And that is a big one, actually, caring about what other people think. And when we say, they made me feel rejected, they made me feel small, they made me feel like I wasn't good enough. They didn't make you feel anything. No matter how abusive or how narcissistic and horrific that abuser is, they didn't make you feel anything. You felt this, and you have the power to be able to take charge of your life and say, I don't want to respond to someone like that. I don't want anyone to have the power over my emotions. I am the master of my sea. I am the captain of my life, and you are. You only have one life, and I really want you to experience that feeling of freedom, of liberation, to be able to look back at the past and say, that was the past. My parents made the wrong choices. I accept that. That's okay. You don't need to forgive, but you accept it for what it was. It's no reflection on your worth or on your value. You're valuable, you're worthy, you're lovable. For some therapy, go to leliahypnosis.com.